welcome back to the Uncomfortable is OK podcast. I'm your host, Chris Desmond. This is a show where we figure out how to get better at doing the hard things that make life exciting. I want to say a quick congratulations to Jailan on becoming an uncle. Well done, mates. That's awesome news. And what we've got for you today, because we did an interview episode at the end of last week, we're just going to roll a strategy episode today. So today is all about how a positive pre-mortem prevents a poor post-mortem. So that once again, a positive pre-mortem prevents a poor post-mortem. So what is this? In any challenge, there's going to be times that you come under pressure. Your stress levels are going to be raised, and at times you're going to be pushed past the point of optimal anxiety. And once you go past this point, your performance suffers. And if you need to make important decisions in those times, often you're going to be making really rubbish decisions. So when we perform a pre-mortem on a challenge, what we do is we identify the spots that are going to be tough for us, the ones that are going to be uncomfortable, the ones that are going to raise our stress levels. And it might be because they're something that we're uncertain about, those spots. They might be something that's beyond our current capacity, or they might be things that we know that we just don't like. With any challenge, two people are going to have differences in the spots that they find uncomfortable. So these are spots that you know that you're going to be uncomfortable. So once you've identified these areas, you can create a plan for how to get through them. But often having a plan is not going to be quite enough because things have a tendency of changing, especially when we're under pressure. And a really good pre-mortem also includes having a framework or strategy for making tough decisions in the moment. And this usually includes, but isn't limited to, what you're trying to achieve and also what you're willing to give up to get to it. So where do I apply this? This is a strategy that's applied before you embark on a challenge. Sit down and look at those tough spots, create a plan, set up the framework, and then get out and take action. You can do it a month before, a week before, or even in the hours before, and it's still going to work. If you're trying to create one when you're already under pressure though, then you've left it too late. Pressure in the uncomfortable moments can lead to poor decisions and the creation of a poor plan, headed all the way down to a poor outcome. So doing it in the moment can be like trying to find your way out of a room with a blindfold on. But if you've got a pre-mortem beforehand, it's like switching the light on and then putting your blindfold on and finding your way out of the room after you've already had a look at it. So this strategy in action. I recently got to have a conversation with a pretty awesome dude called Paul Watkins. And Paul describes himself as a nerd who competes in some of the toughest ultra events in the world. And in early 2019, he was the winner of the 6633 Arctic Ultra, which is a 614 kilometer ultra marathon over 8 days in the Arctic Circle in temperatures that can drop to 40 below zero, with katabatic winds, all the while towing a sled behind him filled with all his gear. And this is obviously a situation that doesn't really leave that much room for error. So in this instance, a poor pre-mortem can result in actual post-mortem. But Paul was robust in his planning for the event, right down to timing his eating and sleeping and knowing exactly when he was going to do both of them in the race. And making sure as well that he set things up to make them both as easy for himself as possible. But he also had a framework for making decisions when he was under pressure, which happens pretty often in an event like this. And the agreement that he decided on with himself and with his family before the event was to come home alive with 10 fingers and 10 toes, and anything else was just gravy. And thankfully, Paul didn't have to use this decision matrix in the 2019 version of the race that he won. But that was Paul's second time competing. And when he competed back in 2017, did have to ask himself those questions. And because he had the framework there, He was able to make the tough decision to pull out partway through rather than keep pushing and make bad decisions when he was under extreme pressure, which could have just ended up horribly, horribly wrong. So why does this work? Stress often leads to poor decision making for a variety of reasons. We've got elevated levels of cortisol in our bodies when we're under stress, which can cloud our judgment. Stress activates our sympathetic nervous systems or fight-flight response, which makes us more reactive in decision making. And studies also show that people usually have more difficulty applying emotional regulation strategies under stress, which can create a difficulty when we're making emotional decisions in unfamiliar situations, as research shows that these often lead to poorer outcomes. Creating a plan as well as a framework for decision making assists in a couple of ways. Firstly, it reduces stress levels as we experience less overwhelm as we've already made decisions prior to starting. We don't experience the processing fatigue of making repetitive decisions in the moment, which allows us to progress further and push harder before we become overwhelmed. And secondly, having a framework gives us a simple yes-no option for the times that we're faced with potential catastrophe. Does this decision fit into my framework? Yes. Cool, let's go for it. Or no. Sweet, I'm not going to do this. We can make a quick decision in a way that's going to keep us safe. So next time you've got a big challenge on, run through a pre-mortem on it. It's really going to be helpful in reducing your stress levels during the challenge, but also, hopefully, streamline the process for you as well. So this strategy is a draft excerpt from a book that I'm writing at the moment called Get Out of My Comfort Zone, A Guide to Doing Hard Shit. So currently in the drafting stages of it. It's a wee way down the track, but if you're interested in grabbing some of these draft strategies off me, keeping in the loop about where the book is at, when it's going to be coming out, and also being hooked up with some sweet deals when it does come out, then head over to getoutofmycomfortzone.com and pop your email address in there and I will send all of that stuff through to you. So that's getoutofmycomfortzone.com, and thank you so much for getting uncomfortable with me today.